Okay, so what we're gonna talk about today is what do consultants do? And this is a common question with a lot of misconception out there. So the first thing I wanna do is almost redefine the term. And I'll start with a kind of a funny story. So when I came out of school, when I came out of college, I started with one of the big consulting firms. It was called Arthur Andersen Business Consulting. And I was a consultant. And nobody in my family or my fiance, now wife's family knew what that meant, right? And I was actually traveling all over the world. I had clients in weird places like Nigeria or the Middle East. And for the longest time, without me knowing, I didn't find out till later, my wife's family thought I worked for the CIA. Because they said, what would a company pay you to consult them on, right? And this is just a great illustration that the word consulting is not what this industry is really about. What this industry is really about now is being a flexible external workforce for big enterprise companies. Big enterprise companies do not want to carry the massive amounts of employees that it takes to do projects, make changes at the company, those sorts of things. So they essentially have a core, right? They have a core of their employees that manage the business, and those people are super important. They understand the business very well. They understand their own culture very well. Around that is a huge ring of external workers. So part of what we need to do is we need to redefine in our own mind what this word consulting or what this industry consulting is, because that's going to change your perception of your ability to get into it, thrive in it, all those sorts of things. So that's the first thing. So the second thing is that there's this massive macro trend towards growth in this industry. And the question is why? It's really driven by companies needing to be more nimble and agile and adapt. And what that means is they need less people and they need a more flexible workforce, like I talked about earlier. So this is like a key point, right? So then within that, what does a consultant do? It starts to redefine the nature of that question. A consultant is really a specialist within this external workforce. And that can be a lot of different things, right? You can be really good at project management. You can be really good at change management. You can be an accountant that just gets put on the finance and accounting team long term, or you can be the accountant on a big project. You can be somebody that's really good at processes and documenting processes and helping companies re-engineer processes. You can be somebody that's really good at Salesforce or Oracle. There's just an endless number of things that companies need. And it's always kind of growing, evolving, and you're growing and evolving your skills within that. Another question becomes, who can do this job? Can I do this job? Can you do this job? And the question really is a resounding yes. And I think we'll get into that in other episodes. But the keys to really doing this and determining if you want to do this, and again, I think we'll blow this out in much more detail on other episodes. But one of the foundational things to think about is, are you good at what you do as a specialist? Or are you somebody that just wants to learn a new direction and you can get onto projects to learn that direction at a lower cost, right? So then they're investing in you and you're kind of investing in them at a lower cost if you're young or you're making a career change. But really more than anything, the biggest thing is around a service mindset. And I think you're gonna hear us talk about this a lot. If you've heard other episodes or if you hear future episodes, you're gonna hear us refer to a service mindset a lot. And what that really comes down to is, do you like to serve clients? Are you okay being excited about helping somebody else execute a project or run their business better. And that type of a mindset, you're on the team, you're doing stuff, you're executing a project, or you're at one client one day or for a year, and then you're at another client. These are a mindset type of a thing. If you're the type of person that likes to go to your same desk every day and have your picture of your family and your coffee mug, and you're not adaptable to flexing, this is not the career for you. But if you have that kind of mindset and you kind of like change and you like to do different things and you're excited about that, you get bored just doing the same job every day, this is a huge multi-hundred billions of dollars a year industry. It's an economy of its own. Okay, so let's talk about education and the thought process before you jump in. We've already kind of talked about the mindset and having a service mindset, and I think that that's super important. That's foundational. But then it comes down to, how do you get yourself educated with the right skills and those sorts of things? So one thing is first of all, you're here, right? You're looking for this type of information. This is a good place to be. This is what we're trying to do here. By the way, if you have feedback on things that we can additionally educate you on, don't hesitate to drop us a line. We'll build that out. But a lot of this comes down to building enough of a skill that's marketable and sellable that a client is going to hire. And then on an ongoing basis, adding to that stack of skills. So the way that consultants are bought, the way that the purchase occurs, and I'm somebody that gets this done through our consulting firm, is we're essentially getting resumes in front of clients, right? It doesn't matter if you're a big consulting firm, a mid-sized firm, or an independent consultant. We're getting a resume in front of a client. We've had a conversation with them about a skill need that they have, and they're buying a resume, they're buying a purchase. So the degree that you can stack skills, and that can be you took a course, you got a certification, you had an experience on a project, that's ultimately what you're selling to a client that they're buying for short-term or long-term. I mean, most of our projects last 12 to 36 months. So these aren't like, you're doing this 10 hours a week. These are full-time deals. So you've really got to have the skills to jump in and be part of the team. So I think when we get this question a lot about what are the skills that I need, or can I do this? You're in a good place to learn those skills or reskill yourself, or to even just think about how to frame up your skills to be able to sell it to a client. So we get a lot of questions around how to jump into consulting and how to overcome the fear and the hurdle of jumping in. So one of the things that really seems to help people is to find that first long-term gig, right? So you've got your job, and a lot of times what we're seeing is people that are employees and have been an employee for a company for a long time, they're almost afraid to jump in. So you've got your employee job, or you've got whatever job you're working, and you're looking for that one long-term gig. So call it 12-month gig. And you can talk to the people that are staffing you. If it's us, we're talking to people and we're saying, look, this is a 12-month gig that should probably go 18 months because they're not going to get it done in 12 months. And if you can land one of those, now all of a sudden you're off to the races. You're into it, the cash flow is there, the cash flow is higher, you understand what it means to run an independent business if you jump over and become an independent consultant. And you'll give yourself time to adapt to this new thing that you're doubting in a way. Usually when we're having these conversations with people, they believe it. They know that there's something there, but there's this hurdle that they've got to clear in their own mind because they've been trained so long to be an employee or whatever it is, that there's this fear of jumping in. And that's understandable when your personal finances are at stake. So I think looking for that one long-term gig and talking to people who can land you on projects, people like us, and just telling them what you're looking for, they're gonna find it for you. So I think that that's a great mindset. I think the other thing that really helps people is what we talked about earlier, which is once you realize that this is just an external workforce, it starts to change your mind around the context that a purchase from a client is gonna take place in. And it starts to become easier to believe how easy this purchase is. I can tell you as somebody who is hiring consultants, we cannot find enough good talent. So this industry continues to grow. We're always looking for good talent. If you're one of those people, you're onto something, and I think it's worth your time to continue to invest in looking at how this could be something that grows for you. So hopefully this helps, and we'll see you next time.